Hey, everybody, my name is Jenn Rahn. I'm the founder of What If by Jenn Rahn, a space dedicated to honoring and building each person's unique plan and purpose in the world. I am located in Fort Collins, Colorado, and do a ton virtually. Today, I'm speaking with Rachel Slather, the founder of Right at Dawn, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting survivors of sexual and domestic violence in the equine industry. Through advocacy, prevention, and education, and a growing trauma informed network, Right at Dawn is creating a future where equine sports are safer, survivors are uplifted, and predators are held accountable. Rachel is also the owner of Daisy If You Do Co., a Western wear brand with both a storefront and online presence in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Between her nonprofit work and her business, she's building community, creating impact, and showing what it looks like to turn lived experience into lasting change. I also want to give a trigger warning before we dive in. We do talk about hard topics in this episode, including abuse, trauma, and lived experience. Please take care of yourself while listening, pause if you need to, and come back when you're ready. I highly suggest little ears are nowhere around during this conversation. I'm Dr. Jenn Rahn, and this is the What If podcast, where we explore real stories, real humans, and the possibilities that open up when we stop pretending and start getting honest. My whole mission is to remind people that they're not alone, they're not too late, and they're probably more capable than they believe. You're going to notice this episode has two parts. We recorded on 2 different days, so the second half is a little energy shift, but we don't want to edit out anything. You're about to hear the first half of our conversation.
Thank you for letting me come back on. I felt called to come back on here because when we recorded this 3.5 or so weeks ago, there was about 500, maybe 600,000 people watching my personal page on Facebook, and most of them had been there for at least 3-4 months ish. This morning, it's over 8 million now. I first publicized the Ford case last week, and it grew like wildfire because of how massive not only that case is, but just this problem in our industry. So I wanted to come on here and just give, for everybody new that's going to watch this and wants to know, who is this girl? What is she doing? Give a little quick synopsis of what my platform is about. I talk a lot. There's a lot to read through there. But I am 110% victim-based. As a victim and a survivor, I don't really care what any predator, pedophile, or their defender has to say. My only focus and worry are the victims, their families. If their families are good and supportive, I care what they think. If they're not, I don't care. And our lawyers and law enforcement. Those are who I listen to. I don't post anything that I can't back up with proof. I sleep peaceful knowing that I don't lie. And I believe and empower and protect victims with everything in me. Without a doubt, am all for exposing predators. I think that's good. I think people need to know almost every single time. I'd say every single time, but I don't believe in absolutes. So almost every single time I post a predator, if I have mutual friends with them, and I usually do, the horse world, it's huge, but it's also small at the same time, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
There will be more. There's people, girls in the comments, women in the comments that say, oh my gosh, he was this way to me, did this to a friend, etc. Later on this episode, I bring up the case of a stepdad that he's a roper in Texas. He abused his stepdaughter. He is not convicted yet. The case is still ongoing, trial's ongoing.
Allegedly abused.
Yes. But go to Kristen Watson's Facebook page. She gives a great firsthand account of what happened. But when I spoke about or started talking about that, I talked about a cop who was caught with child sexual assault material. I called it porn when we recorded this 3.5 weeks ago, and that was wrong. That's not the correct word to use. Words like that soften the blow. It's not porn because porn is with consenting adults. It's child sexual assault material. And same thing, I mean, I haven't used this, but when I see people call, like right now with this Ford case, people are calling it relationships between him and victims and sex between him and victims. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if that child got down on her knees and begged and begged and begged. Good men would never, ever find a child sexually attractive. They would never do those things. So it doesn't matter. Children cannot consent. They can't. Relationships take consenting people. Sex takes consenting people. So a child having sex with an adult, that's not sex. It's rape. We need to call it what it is. We can't keep using words like they slept together. No, that's not what happened. That child did not want to be with the man 3 times her age that scared the hell out of
Thank you so much for saying that.
you. Oh, I've got a good one. On my nonprofit board, I have my vice president is Adam Mullen, and he is incredible about reminding me. I speak from personal experience, and I'm very big on I tell my story. I don't say anything of anyone else's story unless they ask me to. Big reason a lot of people do that is if they can't legally speak out yet, if they're too scared of because their family, friends, whatever they might think, or if it's strangers. Me personally, I will take any hit that vile people try to throw at victims because I needed that person to protect me and didn't have it, so I'm going to be that person now. But Adam is a great reminder for me. He always brings it back to my attention of I know what it's like to be a woman and experience abuse, but there are also a lot of little boys and men that are being abused. There's women abusers. We're seeing more and more women coaches, whatever, teachers, a lot of teachers, women teachers
Yep.
that are doing horrible things with kids. And that's something that this is a problem that needs to be looked at through all ages, all genders, everything. It's just a problem. It's not one side more than the other.
Absolutely. And I have known of a few women actually in my life experience. I lived with one at the time, and it's always like, what? That's so weird because it's just not usually what the press is or whatever. But you're right. I think there's a lot more conversation about it. It's also not popularized in movies anymore because for a while it was the cool thing. So in some instances, obviously. So thank you for bringing that up too.
Absolutely. For this Ford case, I know a lot of people are going to be watching for that. I just want to tell everybody to be patient. There is a press release coming that is going to impact so many people. It's going to blow things up, but in the best way possible. I firmly believe that this case and a couple of the others that are ongoing are going to set precedent in our industry, and they're going to change things. So if you feel disheartened now learning that this vet that you loved and trusted was actually doing X, Y, and Z, assaulting minors, know that change is coming. We're going to force it. I promise you, I will not have kids until I can look myself in the mirror and say I made this industry safer for them. I will protect every child that's already here until then.
Yeah, and that's a thing where we'll follow up, like we're putting out this episode, we're informing everybody, we're creating the conversation, we're sharing our stories and all of that. But there's resources being built. There's resources that are already accessible to people. And by speaking out, more resources and more people can step up to also fill a lot of the gaps. So I just want everyone to know that as we walk through this stuff that's really heavy, and as all of these stories come out, that where there is darkness, light gets to shine in like crazy. And it's a matter of us provoking all of you to kind of step in and fill those gaps, and we're doing our part in that as well.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to bleach what's been done in the dark with light. That's
exactly
the only way you can clean it up.
Exactly.
We've watched it throughout history, and it's time we start learning. It's time to be on the right side of history for this.
Absolutely.
We brought up another point that I wanted to make on resources. So now we're a little bit farther with our nonprofit. It's called Ride at Dawn. The website is rideatdawnnp.org. On there, we're still working on it, gathering different things. I'm actually going to put a poll later today. We want everybody to join, so we want people to vote on our logo. The board voted on 2 of our favorites, and now we want everybody to tell us which one speaks to them the most, and we'll choose what the people want. That's what
I love it.
Profit is. Yeah, thank you. I've felt very called to use what I've got to help these, victims and survivors, not just in our industry, but across the world. But the problem is one, I tried to find something that I could support, an organization that was already helping in the Western industry. There's Safe Sport in the English world, but there's not really anything in the Western industry. So there just wasn't an organization where I could say, okay, let me bring you resources or money, whatever. Biggest thing though, I have a big fear, or not fear, I have distrust for organizations, especially ones that are handed a lot of money and there's no transparency. I don't trust them. So I'm very excited. I've been saving a lot of money for a long time now, and I thought I was going to buy a house with it, but I'm not. It's God's, and I'm going to put it towards a property where we'll buy a property and put a bunch of little tiny houses on it so women can get away, whether if they need to leave an abusive relationship or need a place just to get away for a bit. We'll have runs. We're going to do big things. We're going to be the change that we need to see. It's not just talk. People say, oh, it's Facebook drama, or oh, it's a news story. No, these are people's lives. These are little girls and women all around you that need our help, and I'm not going to sit and watch it. It shouldn't be if I don't do it, someone else will.
Yeah.
It should be I need to do it, and who can help me?
Yeah, and I speak to that because I'm crying. I put on makeup, so I'm like trying not to. And I'll insert myself in this a little bit. After years, I mean, my assault stuff happened probably 8 years ago. It was right before I went into grad school. And I was lost, and I would just go to people and be like, what do I do? And they'd be like, but you're capable and intelligent and you're doing it and you're leading a club and I was just like, yeah, but I don't know how to function. I can't sleep at night. I have night terrors. There was all these different situations. And and then when I got out into the world after I got out of the structure of grad school, I had to learn how to trust people again. And it was something that I could hide for a few years because I was in this environment where it was policed, for lack of, not literally, but there was structures put in place. And my biggest struggle as a victim has been for how many years now? The past 3 years. I was in job situations that were not ideal for me, and also simultaneously trying to heal and find resources when I was coming out with no money. People were like, you've done it and you've accomplished things, and there just wasn't this care and concern. And even as I've started my business, like, I fight that every single day, and I've had a slower go at being able to put myself out there and be vulnerable and trust people to be alone. And ultimately, I'm good with that, but it is taking the world on after things have happened is no joke. And I am so, again, honored to have you on here because you're going to trend set. Like, all you're doing is creating the model that people are already doing too, but you're using your platform and your voice to say, hey, this is a way that people can step in. And I will tell everybody out there, like, as a victim, as a family member of victims, as friends of victims, as someone who's let people crash on my couch and stuff, like, that's a big deal. And whatever we can do to support that. I thank you for letting me share that, because that just made it, I'm like, yes, you're doing things. And it's like, it's the practical side of it as well, not just bringing awareness. So thank you.
No, I'm glad you did. If you didn't mind, that kind of made me feel I'd like to talk about how I talked about a little bit what I went through, but not me as a victim. I call
Yeah.
myself a survivor now because it feels a little bit more hardcore, it makes me sound a little more tough.
You give yourself some credit there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think one of the hardest things for me actually was the shame I felt when I went through it a second time.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
young and naive. At a second time, I was so upset. One, I'm like, I already went through this. How didn't I see the red flags? Well, they love bomb. They work really hard, so you have no idea if there's red until you're locked behind a gate. I felt so ashamed that it was going to be another failed relationship. My parents have been married since my mom was 20, and my brother and his wife, they've been together since 15 and 16. I was like, I just look terrible,
Yep.
It doesn't matter. It is so much better than spending the rest of your life with somebody that's not good for you. Broken things turn to bruises, bruises turn to broken bones, and broken bones turn to caskets.
Absolutely.
When you start sliding down and you realize that this isn't good, you need to know that nobody that you want in your life is going to judge you for getting out. They're going to go, oh my gosh, I wish you would have told me sooner. I'm there. What can I do? It's going to suck. You're going to find some people that you thought were on your side but weren't.
Yep.
Try to find that all the time.
Uh-huh.
But my dad and I talk about this a lot. It's such a blessing to find out the people that God doesn't actually want in your life. You've got to trim your grass short to keep the snakes out. So keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And as a victim, a big thing, I'm a huge, huge proponent for therapy, but also so much healing came when I started speaking about it. One, I found out I wasn't alone. Found out that those abusers had done it to more people, but also that so many of my peers had gone through it. And at times where, I would be around girls and I was so consumed in what I was going through, I didn't really see what they were going through. But the whole time, our paths were pretty parallel. And now seeing a lot of those girls get out and find their voice has been so empowering and healing for me. But I want victims to know that if you feel like you don't have community and you're worried about what happens if somebody, once you come out, it will be so, it'll feel like an elephant's lifted off of your chest when you can take control of your narrative. But
Mhm.
also, when you give people the opportunity to come in and support you, so many more will come in than you realize. You won't have to ask for it. You can tell your story, and I promise you, good people will be there and they'll be in your corner and they won't leave. It's a defining moment that sucks, but it's worked really, really good to get the kind of people you don't want to be in your life out of it. 'Cause good people don't abuse people, and good people aren't okay with abuse.
Right. And if you're like, I feel like there was a stage where I was like, oh, like the people, the hundreds of people that have been around me, like I've went to every one of them in my own way and been like, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. And it took me a long time to accept that was not the crew that was going to carry me forward and support me in the ways that I need to. And that took a long time, and it's still going on. I still have to be honest with myself daily. Hey, you need support. But it's like, it's so weird how when you get out of that, you're like, wait, there are people here. This conversation, like, I had no idea. I got a sweatshirt of yours, right? For my birthday. I'll talk about that at the end, from my best friend Maggie, who, by the way, everyone needs to go check out her stuff too. But she sent me that. Then I got connected into your group. She added me in, and I didn't know that I'd be having this conversation by just stepping in. And I'm like, hey, have you ever been on a podcast, right? And then now I'm able to help facilitate a conversation. And it isn't always going to be that dramatic, but it's probably outside of your comfort zone or what your expectations are as well. So be open to it for sure.
I'm glad you said that, because for me, in my case, and I know more than a handful of victims that are right now currently going through this. I carried so much guilt and shame of not being what I had imagined, right? Not having what I was imagining. So I didn't want to tell people. I didn't want to
Yeah.
tell people that this was happening to me, even though it wasn't my fault. I felt ashamed of it. I believed him when he made me feel like I wasn't enough, or it was
Yep.
my fault. So I carried the burden alone for a long time, and that was hard. It's not what you're supposed to do. The first time in the Bible God says something isn't good is when man was alone.
Hmm.
Supposed to be alone. We're supposed to be with his people. So I encourage you, if you need to tell your story, if you have a story to tell, to find somebody to tell it to. That first person is going to feel like a weight off, and then it gets better and better from there. It really does. Do not hold it all to yourself, or if you're saying it to the same closed doors and they aren't immediately ripping their doors open and pulling you in, turn around and walk to my house. The door's already open.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
It seems like there's a lot of people that defend these people because the mean people stick out, right? 100 people can tell you you're pretty. You're going to remember the one person that said your eyebrows look.
Yep.
So it feels like you have to focus on them. No, I personal experience, not statistics, because I'm not going to do the actual math. But from what I see on my account, there's like 30,000 supporters of victims for every 3 defenders of pedophiles or abusers. And those 3 defenders, they're just defending him because they have a guilty conscience too. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about them. They're not
Yeah,
your
and I think as we've chatted, a lot of the time that space is, especially if it's someone they knew, it is really difficult. I had a conversation actually recently about someone that I knew, and I was like, I have to wrap my head around the fact that my image of them is just different.
yeah.
And maybe that wasn't your experience, but that doesn't mean, like, remember, people are very different and have a lot of facets, and we're taught a lot of the time to hide even these more secretive parts that you would never have even known if people didn't speak out to. So just remember, if you're like confused, that's also normal, but remember, you need to also accept the different perspective that's been given to you as well.
That's such a great point. A lot of people, my therapist changed my life when she told me this when I was just going through it after the first domestic violence situation. She said, you have to remember that multiple things can be true at once. He was a good friend, or seemed to be a good friend. Was a good horse trainer. But he also
Right.
did bad things. Yeah, you upset him when you broke that dish. Doesn't matter. It's just a dish. Multiple
Right.
things at once. And so in relation to the case that just broke with Ford, there's a lot of people that just can't believe it. Well, what they need to understand is that you knew a side of that man. Nobody knows you in your entirety. So you cannot let your ego fool you into thinking that you know somebody in their entirety. You don't. You know
Yep.
the version they showed to you. That's what you
Yep.
know. You
Yep.
paid him to work on your horses. That doesn't mean you knew what he did behind closed doors. That means he was good to you when you were giving him money. I don't understand. I can see why you have surprise, but I cannot understand the arrogance of thinking, absolutely not. I never saw anything, so there's no way anything happened. That's not true.
Right. And if that's a point that anyone's getting to where they're like, well, this is what I think, like there's internal work that can be done. You can seek professional help as well, because it's an important skill in your life to be able to adapt your understanding of people and places. And if that skill's underdeveloped or not developed properly, or you've been, you lived with people who gaslit you when people were abusive to you growing up, like you're not always going to register the change of person because you're taught to disconnect from yourself. And yeah, it's got to be worked on, and all it does is point to another place where it's like it's healthy and good to be able to adapt and change your perspective like that. And yeah, it's an opportunity for growth.
We be
Yeah.
so focused on not being wrong that we can't accept the fact that we weren't right. It's
Right.
people are so scared of admitting that they were wrong, and it's not a big deal. People will respect you if you say, "Hey, I messed up. I misspoke. I misstepped. I'm sorry. Won't do it again." It's not that hard. So on a lot of cases like these where if people will defend them, I have no problem. I mean, obviously I don't want anybody to defend a pedophile. But if you misspeak, I have no problem with that. If you have the humility to say, I was wrong and I apologize to the victims. You don't have to apologize to me. I don't care what you think. But who you owe that to are the victims that you're speaking about, and they can see it on social media. Not only that, you say, oh, well, they shouldn't be on it. People send it to them. People send it to them. Come on. You can't think that you can talk about these girls online and it'll never get back to them.
Yeah.
They can't legally speak for themselves right now. That's not fair. You got to go pick on someone your own size and someone that can actually speak back.
Exactly. And I think you've done a good job, and I know it's part of your value to make sure that you're keeping everything factual. Like I think you started off with that, but you're doing a good job of even, and you're perfect example of this. There's going to be the next chunk of this that people are listening to, and you came back and you're like, hey, we need to make sure we get language right. And I want to, you're actively showing and being an example again to what this process looks like,
When you hear me say that, register in your head that that's not how that was supposed to be said. And I
Exactly.
heard it after I said it, but I was like, it's not that bad. No, it's a big deal. That's not what it is. We
Yep.
can't just label things. And I had sat down with my lawyer last week, or had a phone call with her. Um, and we had a really good talk about it, and just different things that she was thinking of through that last week, and that I was, and that was a big one. So I really do appreciate the opportunity to correct myself, and I know there's probably previous posts where I've mislabeled it, so I appreciate the opportunity to say that was wrong and it won't happen again. Now that I know better, I will do better.
Exactly. And it's a space of growth. That's what this conversation is, That's
No,
why standing up for victims, it's people who are in a development process, whether, they don't have the awareness as an adult to pick up on social cues with someone who's preying on them, or they are literally a child who are not, it's been determined for years and years and years of time that they are incapable of providing proper consent or any consent at all to an adult with a more developed brain and social understanding than them. So full circle here, it's all about understanding we are evolving, we are growing, we are learning, and we need to protect people who are in the process, who should not be being taken advantage of in any way, shape, or form, and calling out the systems right now that are not adequate to protect and lead and guide. And we and you and everybody else gets to grow and learn in the process. And again, another reason why we're having this conversation. So very, very good thing to bring up.
absolutely. Thank you. That made me think of, again, this is me speaking from personal experience. I'm not quoting statistics. I'm talking about the cases that I look into and see daily and am following. The biggest common thread between abusers and perpetrators is that they were also abused. And almost always it's as a child. Your years are so formative when you're young. That's
Yeah.
what happens. They're hurt as a child. They never grow up and deal with it. Their family acts like it's okay or shames them into hiding. And they grow on to be adults that hurt people. So that's the number one way. And that's why it's so important that we need to help these kids that are getting abused so we don't keep feeding this pipeline. This
Exactly.
big link is addiction. Addiction makes people do horrible, horrific things. And I'm talking not only about child abuse here, but I'm also talking about trafficking. That's a rampant part right now.
Yeah.
Addiction makes people do horrible things, and it's no excuse. But that I'd say is the second one, and then the third one is actually it's people that started watching some pretty hardcore porn, and they just nothing's enough until they have to go younger and younger, and that's another thing that I wanted to bring up. When you see someone going for a teenager, you need to realize is they might be going for that teenager now, but almost always it turns younger and younger and younger, and it's prepubescent, it's elementary, it's younger and younger and younger. I weekly, if not maybe every other week, there will be a case involving a baby. So that's why it needs
Ugh.
to yes,
Ugh.
baby. There was a
Yeah.
judge that just arrested because he assaulted a 2-week-old baby, along with others. But yeah, 2 weeks. It has got to be a zero tolerance policy. It can't be, well, this is worse or this is worse. Nope, children can't consent to adults. So we're gonna stop stealing children's childhoods. We need to protect
Yeah.
them. Let kids be kids.
Exactly.
Such a big long life to be an adult. I wanted to be an adult so bad until I realized, oh my gosh, not all it cracks up to be. We need to tell these kids to
Yeah.
be kids. You need to
Yeah.
learn how to fail safely. And in the
Yeah.
horse world of the eat your young mentality, these kids can't fail safely if there's no safety measures for them. They're just falling.
Percent. And that's why this conversation, it carries out to every, I mean, it's just such a reflection of any facet of industry or life or whatever. And it's why I want the voice that I want too, is it's like we have to allow that failure, and it's not failure, it's a growth opportunity. It's I can be and explore even into adulthood. That doesn't end, when you hit 18 or 25 when your brain develops. But yeah, it robs an experience, it robs a learning process and stamps it, and it's a disaster. So absolutely. Another strikingly good point.
The reason I like to call it fail safely too is because you're going to fail throughout your life, and a lot of kids are so scared to fail that they don't want to admit it.
Mhm.
Like I said, or I'll talk about later in this podcast, of my parents being very solution based. They did let us do not more physically unsafe, like we had dirt bikes and four-wheelers and we were
Yeah,
jumping, that kind of stuff, fail
of
safely, where
course.
side
Yep.
protection, they were there, but yeah, they let kids be kids. Just such a big thing of making sure, you're trying to raise good kids, but you need to realize that those good kids are going to turn into adults. You got to have real conversations with them. I don't want to go off on another tangent, but if you don't mind, I would love to speak to parents really quick, if that,
Yeah,
just on the topic, since this right now is a minor case.
let's do it.
First, I want to say anybody that's sitting online judging parents that were unaware but now are doing everything they can to protect and fight for their kids, they
Absolutely.
can kick rocks with open-toed shoes, go kick a boulder, because one,
Seriously.
a lot of times what they're not realizing is it's not like this guy walked up and said, hey, can I take your 15-year-old daughter on the road with me? And they said, yeah, sure. These guys spend months and months and months just grooming and making sure the whole family loves them. And they lay this groundwork and they work so hard. And then it's not a slow process. They're calculated and cold in everything they do. So
Hmm.
you can't let yourself think that you're immune from the evils of this world and you could never be duped by somebody. That can happen.
Yeah.
I'm all for judging the parents that find out and don't do anything to protect their kid. That's bad. But parents that didn't know, now know, and are fighting for those kids, we need to protect and revere them and be behind them. They need our help
Yeah.
too. What I wanted to talk to about kids, our nonprofits, we were talking about this our board was talking about this last week. Children, obviously, they can't consent. We know. But I think parents need to talk to their kids in a way that shows that they understand their kids now, but they will grow up. So they need to use real names for body parts. It's again goes with softening the blow too much. They need to know that if they don't want to give somebody a hug or sit on their lap, they don't have to. They need to know that they have control over their body and
Yep.
say no. And you're going to respect that. You're going to protect that and enforce that boundary. It starts at a young age. And that so much that people don't understand their learned behaviors in childhood.
Hmm.
Got to give kids these tools for when they go out in the world without you.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
need to know that they can be at a party, and if it's some guy smacks their ass, they can say, absolutely not, don't touch me that way. They don't have to
Yeah.
laugh it off because the rest of the football team did. No way.
Yep.
They
Yep.
need to know that you'll be there at the door if they call you. Big thing is just talk to your kids. You cannot expect that they'll never do anything. They need to know you have boundaries for them, have rules for them, but they need to know that if they mess up, they can come to you. You guys can
Hmm.
talk about it later, but they need to know they can come to you first. So many of
Yep.
these kids are getting into terrible, terrible spots because they feel like they absolutely can't go to their parents. I'm not saying be your kid's best friend, but you can't be your kid's enemy. You can't make your kid feel like they're alone, or especially in today's technology world, these kids are going
Oh God. Yeah.
they're sitting in their bedroom. I mean, that's what's happening. They're reading
Yeah.
these awful things people are saying about them, and they haven't even left the bed that they've been sat in for the last 3 days. Talking to them as naive kids doesn't work anymore when so much information is available to us. You don't want your kids to find out everything on the internet. You need to talk to them.
Right. And another, circling back to before, as an opportunity for growth. When I was in Bible school and stuff, we had really great speakers on this. It was one of my favorite things, and it's weird because it's like, oh yeah, great, we're gonna go talk about the thing that no one wants to talk about. But I remember being so inspired because they'd come in and say, if you need healing in order to be able to facilitate these conversations, or you need education on how to facilitate these conversations, or you need to be comfortable with your own body as an adult to be able to explain to your child, like, you as a parent's job is literally to pass on the experience and knowledge and ability to carry yourself throughout the world. And if you are like, man, I don't even know how I do that, or that's awkward for me. Or I had a friend who one of my very first days of Bible school told me that her mom, for 4 years of her marriage, did not know that sex was okay. No one ever told her. 4 years of her marriage. And she had children. And so she was living in a shame situation as a consenting adult who was married, who she'd never heard that, and I think of her and I always still think, I'm like, man, I hope she got someone to talk to about that, because that had to have been an insane experience. But it brought up this idea that the speakers would come in and share, and it's, hey, if you're having trouble communicating, just like any other topic, just like any other emotional control, any other awareness within life, it is your duty as a parent that you and this is another way someone, if they're wanting to build out resources, maybe this is what they're feeling called to do, is address this and educate and teach women and men to be comfortable with those real age-appropriate ways to say that, but in a way that they're able to honestly pass on. And that's something I'm really passionate about too. So, and I've never been able to say that out loud. So yeah,
Yeah,
totally, totally,
absolutely.
totally.
It's on parents. Both of my parents came from some pretty rough, different childhoods, and they worked like crazy, did everything they could to break that cycle, and equip us with what we need.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. Absolutely. I wish we were raised by a generation, and they were raised by a generation that didn't want to talk about stuff. You're
Yep.
not. It's shameful. You're weak if you do. Whatever reasons they want to use, right? There's no shame in needing to change, or I don't even want to say there's no shame. I want to tell you that there's so much good in going to therapy, talking with professionals, talking with friends, learning how to be better. That's something that I've always loved. For the longest time, I just thought about being better with my horses, competing. That's all I cared about.
Yeah.
Now I'm so big on I want to be the best kind of person I can be, and equipping myself with resources, knowledge, how the justice system works, all my lawyers, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to know that you can do better, and the past doesn't matter if you take that and bring purpose through that pain. If you keep living that way, you're going to keep hurting people. You're going to keep hurting yourself. But the day you take that
Yep.
stand and say, I need to heal these demons, you will set yourself free from a lot of chains. Absolutely. And you'll, like
Yeah.
you were saying, just give your children tools to go through this world. They need their parents. They need them for sure.
Yeah, it's cool because we're focusing on the child conversation, but it's so expansive from here. It's we don't say these things not seeing that there's gaps that are there that need to be filled and resources, but it's giving it an opportunity. So again, no shame on anybody, but also that little voice in your head, that inkling, that irritating day in and day out of this cyclical problem that's happening, like there's an opportunity to heal. There's an opportunity for you to take responsibility in a way where you're not blamed, but rather empowered. And if you haven't ever had that in your life, this is a perfect chance to step into that. So what a great invitation of this conversation. I'm glad that we've kind of went into this before,
Yeah, I think
as we're
this,
re-recording.
yeah, a good deal for sure. I'm not sure if I'd spoke on this, but I do want to say something really quick about it. And then I think I've
Yeah.
hit most of my points. So in 18 states and Puerto Rico, everybody's a mandated reporter. If you even suspect child abuse, you have to report it. States vary by professions or, how long you have until you have to, like your deadline for reporting, how your report's made, stuff like that. That's something I actually appreciate the fact or the opportunity to say this out loud because I've told my therapist this. A childhood memory that was recently unlocked for me is that I went to school with a girl that wet her pants a lot. And as a child, I didn't understand it.
Yep. Yeah.
But now looking back, I feel, and I don't necessarily feel guilt because again, I was a child. I didn't know better. It was more adults that were around. But that is a big, big indicator that a child's being sexually abused. And I wish that was something that was common knowledge and people were, helping educate signs that somebody might be being abused. And a lot of times, if it makes your eyebrow raise a little bit, keep your eye on it. Seriously.
For sure.
Like little stuff happens in public, big things are happening behind closed doors. So when you see and you're like, what he just really overreacted when he got after his kid for grabbing that in the supermarket. That doesn't seem right. Or this child kind of alluded to something that does not seem right. Children want to tell stories. They don't want to tell trauma. They don't make that kind of stuff up. So when you find out stuff like that, you need to take it serious. Yeah. I want people to be aware and watching. Everybody thinks it's just news stories or this person in this state, whatever. No, it happens in your backyard. There's 24 pedophiles in our town jail right now, and there's not a single report on any of them. I don't know all of the sex crimes that are happening yet. Yeah. I mean, there's no way. Yeah. And that's just the ones that are arrested and in jail. That doesn't count the ones that are on the street. But yeah, so crazy. It's on people to educate themselves and get involved. Stop. The bystander effect is so terrible. I hate that they tell women now to yell fire instead of help because people are more likely to come to you if you yell fire. Yep. It's really sad. That's a good point. Yeah. That's wild. One of my favorite verses is where in Matthew 18:6, where Jesus, I'm going to paraphrase him, but he knows me. He knows how I speak. Jesus says that it is better for you to have a millstone tied around your neck and drowned in the sea than to cause one of the little ones that follow him to stumble. Like those millstones in Jerusalem, they're huge. So for the fact that Jesus, the most perfect Son of God, perfect example of love, says that it's better for you to be drowned than to hurt children, that's my guy. I'm following Jesus. For sure. There's a lot of examples of it too. Yeah. I've come across someone who was hit by a car and there was 30 people standing around. And I was like, I'm a chiropractor, so I don't have to respond to anything. But I was in Santa Barbara and I was like, none of you, I was like, one of you is a medical professional. And one of them was like, well, I'm on leave because I'm a nurse and I had surgery. And I was like, I don't care. Like nobody's called 911, Maybe I need, you know what? I'm going to commit right now to doing a bystander workshop. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put it up by the time this episode comes out. I'm going to give an opportunity to do a workshop on that because I'm going to just stop there. There's going to be a link. Glad you said that. This is my very last point. I swear, I pinky promise. To get involved with our nonprofit, I would love if you emailed info@rideatdawnnp.org. I want to grab everybody into one inbox first between all of my inboxes with the store and personal. It just gets a little busy. So I want to have everybody in there and whatever skill set you want to offer, or resources or ideas, no matter how big or small it is, we want you at the discussion table. We want you here. And we want anybody that feels called to get involved to come on.
Absolutely. And what I'm going to do is I'll approve this with you. I'm just going to throw this out here now. I'm going to do a little page on my website, www.whatifitallgoesright.org. That's going to have this info on it. We'll tag it on the YouTube. We'll tag it on the Spotify. We'll make sure everything is accessible, but I'll make sure it's on my website too, so that we can get like a backlink in case we need all of that. So we'll make sure that all of this is very, very, very accessible, because I know the mamas, I know the big hearted people are ready to jump in from hearing even this little bit, especially if they have any experience in it.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'm glad we added this. I think what you said was absolutely right. We recorded this 3-4 weeks ago, but there's a reason why it's not coming out till this week. I appreciate the chance to speak just a little bit to this, and I just want to encourage everybody to stay tuned. The victims are taking back control. It's going to blow the roof off, and I cannot wait. So just stay tuned.
Absolutely. And being able to see this conversation with just us, there's a lot going on behind the scenes in my life, especially in your world. And there's a lot of people being empowered. There's a lot of gaps being filled. There's a lot of conversations that are happening that wouldn't be happening otherwise. And this is just a true testament. Rachel is a woman who found herself, you'll hear, with just barely any money, going to buy her breakfast. And she said, I got to do something different. And it's led to this. And so if you're in a position, and again, there's way more to listen to, so don't check out right now. But if you're in a position where you're like, I know I'm meant for something, I know I need to be bold, maybe something's happened, maybe something hasn't, and you just are looking to step in the right direction, that's my favorite space to exist in, to empower people, both on podcasts and one-on-one. But you have no idea where you're going to go, because you are a unique person with unique experiences and unique resource capabilities, and your voice. Any famous person you see, anybody who's running a charity or foundation or anything, any of these conversations between us, we're just humans who've decided to say, you know what, I'm going to go in. I'm going to figure it out. I'm a survivor. I've been through harder things. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to slide into my beliefs and let them drive me. I'm not playing by the rules by everybody else. You break the mold and you move forward. And there's so much room for you, and we are all waiting. So I just needed to cheer you on a little bit.
Love it. Thank you. Absolutely. God uses everybody, fishermen, sinners, saints. I'm a college dropout. I'm not a professional. I call myself a professional. No matter, seriously, whatever you guys have to offer, it's going to take all of you, and He's going to do big things in your life. So like you said, it's just the beginning. So if you feel stuck, you're in an abusive place, or you're in a community that's not uplifting and valuing you, the beginning of your life is right around the corner. Quit knocking the closed door and head over there.
Exactly.
Thank you for the ability to come back on here and give a little bit on what's happening currently these last few days. I'm excited for everybody to listen to my story, and grant me grace. I'm not a public speaker. I'm an imperfect person serving a perfect God, trying to do everything I can for him and his children.
Yeah, so everybody keep watching and listening. There's going to be more insight to Rachel and her story, and a really big, again, more calls to action, more details behind what's going on. And if you're enjoying it, please get involved. Please get involved and keep listening. Don't stop listening, because there's a lot more good coming.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening. We are now headed into part 2, where Rachel talks about growing up in a cult, how her tipping point was standing in nowhere else other than a Dollar General, and how she went from abuse to empowerment, in hopes that we can all join her in doing the same. And if you would like, consider contributing to this podcast by buying a $5 sticker on my website, www.whatifitallgoesright.org/store. I do this podcast for free, so this helps me bring in other conversations with like-minded individuals who are ready to make a massive impact in the world. Thanks.
So when I was still living in Minnesota and I was 17, I was broke. The short story of it is I was going to school. I was working all day, teaching riding lessons to try and make some side money. And I was broke. I was trying to buy hay for my horses, and they were eating, but I wasn't. I was headed to go work my horses. I would wake up at 6:30, go to work, be there till 3, come home, do my online schoolwork, go to the barn, teach some lessons, start riding my horses at about 10, get back home at midnight or so, go to bed, and wake up all over and do it again. Which built my character, taught me a lot, but one night I was headed to go ride, and it was some cold night in January, and I stopped at the Dollar General, the only thing our town really had, and my card was declined for 11.27, and I had a full breakdown in the middle of this Dollar General. I was just like, why? Like, of all things, I can't buy myself my first meal of the day at 9:50, p.m. It hit me so hard of like, whatever I'm doing, and I'm using all the hours I felt like I had in the day. Whatever I'm doing, it's not working. It's not enough. Something needed to change. So I'm just praying and praying to God, give my sandwich and my little coffee back to the clerk. And I started praying and just asking him, what do I do? I'm trying, and I feel like I know I'm failing it, but I don't know what to do. Like, keep down this path. What do I do, God? And he put it on my heart to start creating wild rags. In the beginning, I'd kind of paired up with somebody. It didn't go well. My last $300 I had in my savings account went down the drain with the partnership. It was a bummer. And right after that, did another mental breakdown and was, God, why? You put it on my heart to start creating things, and I love that. I love being creative, but I'm even deeper than when I started. I've regressed. This is not good. And it was kind of like he had tapped me on the shoulder and was like, Rachel, do you believe you can do all things through me? And it felt, and it's not an audible voice, but just puts it on your heart, right? And it felt like, kind of a duh moment. Every Christian knows that verse. Of course, we can do everything through him. So of course I know that, Lord. And he said, why did you go to another person then? I gave you everything you needed, but your first thing you did was you went to another person to help you. And I immediately was like, you're right. I got to stand on my own 2 feet. That's what it is. I'm looking, I was looking for somebody, help me somewhere, trying to meet everybody I can. But he said, no, stand on your own 2 feet. You build it, they will come. And so put it on my heart to start creating wild rags. I started on Twitter. I was so lucky and fortunate to have a lot of people that believed in me from the start, because I didn't have money. I didn't have enough money to buy my own sewing machine, so I borrowed one from my great aunt, and she taught me how to sew. The only sewing lessons I had was in 8th grade at home ec, and really I just started it because I needed money to eat and I needed money to buy hay for my horses. So that was January, February of 2019. I thought for sure that, wild rags are usually kind of a seasonal deal, right? They're most commonly used in the winter. Especially living up in Minnesota, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this in the summer. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And it again was, God brought me total clarity, because that summer I sold more wild rags than I ever have. Still, like, that was a record summer for me. It was
Really?
Yeah, incredible. There were so many girls figuring out these creative ways to wear wild rags. Like, we have some, I've got them all over my walls, different ways, but it was really special to me that people wanted to find a way to still support, and they did. They made it work,
Awesome. So you had a plan. You realized that you were trying to put stock into somebody else, but you really had what you needed the whole time. That's gold.
Thank you. It's
That's gold. That's gold. More people need to hear it. Say
I'm
it
blessed
again.
for the lessons he taught me. I'm really, I say this a lot. Now I kind of have some remorse for the way I grew up early and quick, but I look back and I go, I learned that lesson young. It's nice
Yeah.
to be able to know these things and go into my mid-20s with them.
Yeah, it's a way of life that if you didn't have to learn that at some point, you don't know.
Yeah, and it
You
can
don't
be
know. You don't
harsh
get to do it.
reality.
Yeah. Yeah. So you started in Minnesota. You started this all before you moved all down south.
Yep, I started it in my
Okay.
bedroom at my parents' house. Moved to the dining room, took over their dining room, and
Yeah.
then moved to their office space.
Awesome.
Kind of took over my
Cool.
parents' house for a while. They're very
Yeah.
supportive.
Yeah, good. Good, good, good. That's important. So then what prompted you to move?
So I found
So
God
what
down
was
here in Oklahoma. be 11 years ago now. We were down here. We were helping with a friend of ours, Beck and Stock Sale, and some old friends of my dad's brought us to Life Church, this church here in Stillwater. And it's a very it's a non-denominational, more modern church, right? So they've got like a rock band, and they're ramming and jamming, having a blast. And I walk in there, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you can worship God this way? Like, it was
Nice.
so different from what I was raised. And I knew, like, kind of went on, but it's a whole other thing when you're immersed in the experience and everybody around you is feeling the Holy Spirit and receiving it and celebrating, not only their love for God, but God's love for us. So that was something new that I learned in that sermon. I had been raised, the 2x2 cult's very, very conservative, like most cults.
Yeah, tell us about it. Tell us about it, because I have a lot of questions about that.
Okay, so, well, really quick. So the 2x2 cult, very much God is a harsh father. There are big consequences for every action, like it's a lot of Old Testament, brimstone and fire kind of stuff. So being in that church for the first time, it was like, oh my gosh, God's a mother too. He loves us, he forgives us, he accepts us. He gave us the ability to create and carry life. It was such an amazing moment that I just immediately knew I needed to be in Oklahoma someday. So then that was when I...
Okay, cool.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, cool. So you felt love and acceptance and all of that for the first time.
Yeah. Well, and
That,
just
yeah.
knowing that God can give that, and
Yeah,
does give that
right,
to us.
right. Yeah,
So
cool.
the 2x2 cult, it's not nobody, I shouldn't say that. Not many people know about it. More people now know about it because of what happened in 2020. So the 2x2 cult was started end of 1800s, early 1900s, which was when a lot of conservative religions were founded. Very much, honestly, it's kind of set up like a pyramid scheme, right? You've got your head overseer, you've got elders right here, and then you have workers. So the reason where we get the 2x2 name from, we don't, or sorry, I shouldn't say we anymore. Oh my goodness, I
It's
haven't
okay.
said that
It's okay.
forever. So there wasn't a name to it, right? Members in it would call it the truth, the way, things like that. But it's not registered as a church. You're never gonna find a
Interesting.
flyer for it. Yeah, they would meet in people's homes, or like rent out a community gym when it would be a big meeting, and that's what they would call them, meetings, not church. It was a whole like, we don't go to church, we are the church. Wherever two or more are gathered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and it's all over the world. That's something that a lot of people don't realize too. It's in Canada, Australia, Europe. Canada and Australia, New Zealand are big, and same with the U.S., all over the U.S. There were a ton of members. Now I think there's less than like 60,000, but still a substantial amount. And it's probably even less than that now. People are leaving like crazy. But you don't actually know because there's no church it's tied to,
Yeah, that's
The only
crazy.
person that really knows are the people way up here. So in 2020, one of the head overseers, Dan Brewer, I believe his name is, he was found dead in a hotel room with a laptop full of bad things, suitcase full of cash, like
Wow.
bad stuff was going on. The church, the 2x2 cult tried to hide it. They tried to, didn't want to give over his phone and his laptop to cops. Didn't want to release anything like that. So now the FBI is looking into him, and there's a documentary on Hulu. It's called
Ooh, interesting.
Secrets of the 2x2 Cult, I believe. Yeah, it's
Ooh, I'm gonna watch it later.
because you kind of have to see it to realize, and it's something that always blows people's mind is when I'm like, no, there's probably some in your town, if not your town, your county, and you don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, they're meeting at people's homes. But anyway, so with Dan dying and that happening, it blew up this whole case, finding out that all of these overseers and elders were hiding child abuse. Predators, yeah. So workers would sexually abuse kids, and instead of doing
No.
anything, they would just move them to a different state or country. Just take them away from those kids. Yep.
Ugh.
So, when my parents learned of this in 2020, they immediately wrote a letter and were like, we would not be part of any organization that supports anybody that can abuse children.
Absolutely.
Basically, was like, you guys need to do a cleaning of house. What's wrong with y'all? In a lot better, more professional way. And left it immediately. So I have a lot of respect and admiration for my parents for that. They were,
Yeah.
it sounds crazy to say I was raised in a cult, but that was all they knew. That's what they were raised.
Right.
And it seems
Yep.
I still believe with some of the core values. Honestly, I do. Some, and not, I say some like three, not
Yeah.
necessarily the core
Yeah.
values. The core values I held on to, right? But I just loved so much that the second they heard that and just heard that there was anything, come to find out there's thousands of cases, thousands, yeah, and millions
No.
that never went anywhere because this isn't a church that does things for people. Like a lot of churches ask money and they want to go and
Oh.
stuff like that. No, there was no. They're not benefiting anybody. The workers are supposed to just have a cell phone, a suitcase, and like an old Nissan Altima, and travel around in pairs of twos. So all
What?
this money that, yeah,
This is crazy.
yeah, and, like stuff would be given to them, like huge, big properties, and they'd have these conventions where there'd be like a huge, big metal barn with rows of bunk beds, and you'd come and it'd be Wednesday through Sunday, 3 meetings a day, every day. We always went to church, or not church, Bible study, or Bible study on Wednesday, meeting Sunday morning, sometimes meeting Sunday night, sometimes Friday, and sometimes
Wow.
3 times on Monday. Yeah, it's a lot.
Did you like growing up? Because how old were you when you went away from it?
18.
Okay, so you went through your entire childhood with it. What were you aware, or were you just like, this is just what we do? Like what was your relationship with it?
Well, so it's like, this is bizarre, but there's nothing, you can't find anything out about it because I wasn't even told, like, an actual name, right? I think I finally got a name for it, which
Oh, weird.
in like middle school, yeah, because kids kept being like, "What church do you go to?" I
Yeah.
kept going
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
confirmation and all this stuff, and they knew like I could have a sleepover. People could come over to my house Friday night, but Saturday night you had to come to church with us or you had to go home. But we were leaving for church a little after 9. What was your question again? Oh yeah, growing up. So another thing that was big, like everybody would ask me, kids in my class, like, what denomination are you? And I'm Christian. What denomination? What denomination? And that was like they call themselves a non-denominational branch of Christianity, so they just try to be very vague in everything. And so again, like I don't even know what to Google. You Google the truth, and a million
Right.
religions are gonna pop up. Yeah, it was bizarre. I didn't know very much about it until that guy died and everything blew up. To learn that other side of it.
Whoa.
I was pretty, I drug my feet every time. I tried to pretend I was asleep every Sunday morning, even though I wasn't. Didn't
Yeah.
want to go.
Normal kid stuff. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is right before I moved out. I was like, finally, I don't have to go. Love you guys so much, but I'm paying my own bills next week, so you don't have to make me go this week. And left it. Yeah, never looked back. I will never support any sort of organization that can hurt children or aid people that hurt children.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, that's so interesting. I am going to go down a rabbit hole with that because I have never heard of that before. I'm surprised because I usually keep up on stuff like that. That is bizarre, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's like a secret society. It's creepy. I do get very creeped out thinking about all of the like hidden things. It's like one of the things for me that I'm like, I don't want to know. There's some weird stuff.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you and your parents, it sucks when things come out, but at the same time, like you're validated in some way. You're able to be like, I knew something wasn't wrong. You can reconnect with that part of yourself that was just new the whole time something was weird. And sometimes, as horrible, I don't want to at all dismiss what was going on, but I hope that was a nice like affirmation for you and for you to go find like that more loving approach,
being able to see that publicly, like, no, this is actually bad and weird and things are off, was very validating, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
for
also
sure.
nice to have like a, because there was always little guilt of, okay, you didn't come back, we miss you. The safe, I don't want to use the word safety. Honestly, kind of just peace in knowing, no, I could put my foot down here.
Yeah,
It
for
doesn't
sure.
have to be just the fact that I think this is conservative and weird. No,
Yeah.
this is wrong. I want nothing
Yeah.
to do with it.
Yeah,
It's
good.
nice to cleanly cut, I guess.
Yeah, that's good. Thank God. It's like, see you later, put that in the past. You've learned. And like you said, there's always benefits from anything. Like maybe you just know who you are more after you've done it, or maybe you get to take some of the values. Like I think community is taught a lot of the time in those situations in a way you don't learn otherwise. And yeah, that's so interesting. I feel like I'm gonna have a million questions. I'm gonna be texting you. I'm gonna be like, "This is crazy. Did you experience this?" Because I've had some weird. I've been a part of
I
some weird stuff too.
I will say I was very fortunate. My parents, they're great parents. I've got an
Mhm.
older and a younger brother.
Oh, cool.
There's a lot of people that were worker worshippers, is kind of what we call them now, that just believed that these people, they'd come stay in our homes. They didn't have homes, right? So they would just travel from home to home, stay in our home for a day or two, help out the meeting, go to the next place. And a lot of parents were worker worshipers, just believed, have full range with my kids, you're going to make them better. And that's not what they were doing. So I was very fortunate in the fact that my parents they weren't letting me have sleepovers at friends' houses that they knew for years, let alone some guy, stay in the room with kids. That's something that was very common. It's just, yeah, not okay.
Well, yeah. What? No, no, no. My parents were really very, very particular too, and of course, like kids are kids and stuff. But like,
Yeah, you don't understand it at first. You're like, why can't I sleep over at her house? But
yep,
looking back now,
yep.
I'm like, yeah.
Thank God. I know. I'm so glad I had the same exact thing because,
Mhm.
ugh,
Too many
so
kids.
creepy.
Yeah, sickening.
So that came out in 2020, you said?
Yep.
Oh, interesting. So you're still this is okay. So what happened from there? So you're in Minnesota.
So I left
So you do the wild
Minnesota.
rag
So
thing.
I've already been down in Oklahoma for about a year when this news breaks. And I don't even hear about it at first. Like, it took my parents to say something, not like a super long time, but it's just not something I didn't really want anything to do with the cult, so I wasn't bringing it up.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
but yeah, it was it was a very delayed thing from the time that he was found dead to everything coming out because of how hard, yeah, they had worked to hide it all. And there's still probably a lot missing and deleted that we'll never know or hear.
Yeah, and God, it sucks. That sucks.
It's kind of mind
Ugh.
blowing.
Yeah, that sucks. Like, there's just never justice for situations like that, but we can do our best, you know? I mean, never full justice, I should say, but doesn't mean we shouldn't stop doing what we're doing. But, interesting. So I have a sneaking suspicion that drove some of what you're doing now.
Yeah. So I've spoke out about domestic violence publicly ever since after my first relationship, and um, that's always been something that I've been really passionate about. And then especially after I got out of the second one, that was the most traumatizing, craziest thing I've ever been
It
through.
is,
Genuinely
yeah,
a bad TV show. Insane. Um,
yeah, I'm sorry.
it's okay. It's new news to you, but it's old news to me. I've healed. I've been able to take my part in that story and do something good with it. Um, but I started speaking out more about that relationship this fall. I was terrified to for the longest time. I didn't want to be outcasted in the NCHA. I'm already such a little dog. I'm a broke 24-year-old running a small business trying to play a rich man's game, right? So I'm already
Yeah,
bottom of the totem pole. But I was so terrified that all these, big name trainers and people were gonna hate me. And in the cutting, you depend on people to help you. So I was terrified, and I kept it quiet for a while. I mean, therapists knew, statements were out, stuff like that. But publicly, I was too scared to say anything. Knew that I would get a lot of backlash, and maybe not direct backlash. That's the thing about it. A lot of people think that people come to me and they're mad at me. No. Most people that are going to defend an abuser or a pedophile or anybody like that can do that sort of thing, they know it's wrong too, so they defend it privately. They'll say it behind your back. There are some people that will say something directly to me, but usually they're too embarrassed to admit that they too are an abuser, or they're okay with that
Right.
behavior, or a lot of times they're in a relationship like that and it's normal to them, so it doesn't seem that uncommon. But anyway, so I started speaking out about that this fall, and was met with so many people, so many young women and girls, older women that were like, "Oh my gosh, I experienced this by this trainer, this by this fairy, or whatever," stuff in the horse world, specifically, and a lot of people outside too. But that's where it hits home for me, because I feel like that's where I have the most reach, and that's when I realized, okay, somebody's got to do something, because these men just walk around and keep doing it. And
Right.
why
Right.
why is nobody talking about this? Why is the shame on the victim? And I've always been a talker, so I just went to rant. But I've had to turn a lot of my focus to the child sexual abuse, which I hate so much. I mean, I don't want any one of those problems to be more so than the other, right? But I hate that right now we have such a rampant problem of child molesters in the horse world, that, like, I want to help everybody, but every part of me just screams for those little children that depend on us, that need adults
Right.
them, that don't have adults helping them. So where I wasn't abused as a child, there was things that were weird about my upbringing because of the cult, but it wasn't abuse. It wasn't. My parents are good people, genuinely good people, good parents. But there are so many sweet little kids that deserve just even a quarter of that, and they get none. And that's what keeps me up at night now.
Yeah. Do you have anything, as you've been outspoken? Are you like, I know, and we'll get into like what you've formally put in place. Like, your social media is blowing up with it all the time, which I think in and of itself is big. And there's other things you have in place. But like, where have you caught on to any missing links as you've been vocal and had conversations with people? Just as far as like, if you're like, man, if someone was just doing this thing, or you just like, you just feel like it's out of control?
No, honestly, I don't. So that kind of, you asking me that kind of makes me fit into the pattern of thinking when you ask me the what if question, and that's more for me. I don't have a perfect, like, I haven't found that solution yet of if someone just did this or this. I think it's going to take a lot of little things, but the biggest thing right now is people talking about it. Hiding it and sweeping it under the rug just lets these predators get away with more. Every single
Absolutely.
time. I shouldn't say that. Almost every single time. Save a select few out of 30, 40, 50. Select few. I will have more victims reach out and say, he was inappropriate with me. I always had a bad, feeling about him. He did this, whatever. Didn't know and didn't have that validated until they realized, no, this is a pattern of behavior. It wasn't. A lot of times, abusers will make you feel like you're special, or it's your fault, or it's tied to you. But the reality
Absolutely.
is, you're just a character. If it wasn't you, it'd be somebody else in that spot.
Yep.
And that's kind of
Yeah. Ugh.
follow, but it
Ugh.
is something that a lot of people need to do to be able to find that healing, is to step outside of that and realize that wasn't me. When they've done that to many people over and over again, it's not, and even, yeah.
Yeah, I was in a really bad situation for a while, and that was the weirdest thing, was like the identity piece, that because they construct this whole world, right? Or maybe it's not this whole world. For me, it was this whole world. It was a long-term thing. And I mean, there's just been multiple situations where I'm like, wait a second, but it's weird because I can, as you learn to kind of embody something else and move past, for anybody who's listening, who's been in that situation and you're just like, I can't gain traction. One, mental health Therapy, this is a lot of therapists go in for this exact thing to help correct in people or to aid. But that weird identity disconnect that you get is just, it's hard. It is a hard thing to recover. And the more you get normalcy and love and connection and all of that, the better you are. I just wanted to say that because I'm all about like, oh, this is a problem, but what can someone do? You know, and it's like it is a problem. It's a serious problem.
I kind of, a lot of times when I talk to victims or survivors, I kind of equate it to when you're in it, you're treading water, right? And your head goes down sometimes, you're tired, you feel so delusional of like, I want to get out, but how do I get out? Like I'm in water. I can't push myself up out of water. Um, and somebody might offer you a hand from the dock, but you could pull them in too. What you need to do is find people on the shore, people that are grounded, people that know you and love you. Those people can pull you out of the water. And that's it just yeah, it feels like such a storm of you don't even a lot of times recognize yourself, behaviors, things that are happening around you. And it's just so twisted.
Yeah, it's taken from you and it's intentional, and that's what makes it so like fucked up. Sorry, there's no other way to put it. It's fucked up. Yeah, and I think I spent a long time being like, if someone just would just listen to me. Like I was around a lot of really supportive people following my situation, but like no one was sitting there going, what's going on with you? Like, are you okay? How can we step in? And that's something I'm passionate about in general. Like that's why I have my whole business is I'm like, what are you going through? What do you need help with? Maybe I can point you in the right direction. How can we, because there's so many times we get ourselves, whether it was something that we felt like we succumbed to, it's never anybody's fault when someone's targeting you. Or, you were literally kidnapped and taken away, whatever the situation, there's a lot of different scenarios with it. So yeah,
Yeah, there's
I'm glad you brought that up.
a lot of good in community. I've always
Ugh.
felt like it's important to have good people around you. I firmly believe like you're the average of the 5 people that are closest around you. I genuinely believe that. I believe that people speak life into you and they can speak death too. And I also believe that that's something that God, I mean, He knows all, but he knew people weren't supposed to be alone. That was the first time in the Bible He said, this is not good, was when man was alone. And so He created a counterpart, an equal to him. He didn't take from the top of his head or the bottom of his feet. He took from his rib, he took from his side to make his equal. So that's something that I've really tried to be very conscious about, is just surrounding myself with the people I want to be the average of.
Absolutely. And I think you've done a good job also of like spreading that. So you're like, again, little tidbit, take care of yourself so that you can give. And I think that shows in the amount of impact you're able to have and like the confidence you have behind your voice and all of that. Because there's so many people that wish that they could scream. They just don't have it in them, especially when they've been in it. So I'm glad that you pointed that out because you have done a good job of getting that foundation so that you're effective. I would say.
It's definitely been a blessing. I really feel humbled that I'm in the position now where I'm healed and secure enough that I can be the voice for some people that want me to be their voice. There's a lot of people that wanted their abuser posted or a pedophile but couldn't because of backlash. I'll look anybody in the eyes and tell them I've got no time for you if you hurt and abuse children. There's
Yeah.
no place.
Yeah.
There's nobody on this earth that could matter to me enough that I'd be okay with them hurting children. So
Yeah. No way.
being able to take that off of people feels good because I carried a lot of that scaredness of what if I tell somebody and then everything comes on to me, I'm so
Yeah.
scared. That's healing. I couldn't be that person for myself at 18 or 19, but I can be that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So do you have a lot of people who submit messages to you or like what's that look like for you behind the scenes?
Yeah, to be honest, sometimes people will call me a detective. I'm really not. I've got the same Google everybody else does, but I'm not that much of an FBI agent. A lot of people send me stuff, but a lot of stuff that people don't realize. A lot of stuff's public, but people don't talk about it. That's why it doesn't actually become public. Some states are very private with their court records. Like Oklahoma, for example, is like, nope, here it is. This is what he did. Here's every
Yeah, I
county he
believe
did
that.
stuff to. Oh yeah, I appreciate it. You can find out real quick and easy if your neighbor is a predator or not. But that's so a lot of people usually just send me stuff, and then once I make a post, there's usually 1 to 10 people that come with here's this that he did, or there's this, or here's supporting evidence. Yeah, there's because a lot of people know, but because nobody said anything about it, they can't connect that piece, right? It's like puzzle pieces that are on
Yeah,
the floor. They need to be put onto the table, and I'll put them together. I'll be here and I'll be the voice. But I don't know those puzzle pieces either. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very important and very helpful that I've had so many people share and tag me in these and send me these stories because I there's no way I could find them all on my own.
Yeah, it's so crazy. The longer I exist, the more I realize like validation or some like there's just so many times where we're like, we don't know what's going on. And then somebody just says it and they're like, oh, I
Yeah.
can only imagine the amount of like redemption and people's like confusion in their life when they've experienced like that you bring to the table, you know? It's got to be one of the biggest level. I hadn't really thought about that, but that has to be one of your biggest levels of impact you make.
Yeah. There was one time that really stands out to me. Actually, it was this post lost me friends and family. Um, it was a post of a man in Wisconsin that had sexually abused his girlfriend's daughter when she was a child. He has a daughter that he has custody of, and he was taking her around to barrel races, and nobody knew that he was a predator. A lot of people knew he was creepy, but nobody knew that he was arrested and convicted for child molestation. So
Oh, jeez.
somebody sends this to me. I make the post in our format as we are legally allowed to do with public court records of this has been proven beyond reasonable doubt in a court of law. There it is. And in those comments, there was a bunch of different girls that said he was inappropriate. But one girl that stood out to me that I think of all the time, it was a young girl, and he was taking pictures of her butt while she was riding or being at these rail races, and then was
Oh my
kind of
God.
blackmailing them. Like, and not necessarily kind of. I don't want to speak her story, but holding them over her head. She
Jeez.
had no idea. And a teenager. Well, on that
Oh,
post, though, I had more than I had a few people that I knew that were pretty mad at me for posting it, and I get why, but I do love the opportunity to explain why I still post it, and the reason why is well, he has a daughter, and his daughter's going to see this, so I love the opportunity to go. Absolutely. Here's the thing though. All crimes committed by somebody have innocent people affected that were caught in the crosshairs of one man's actions. That he knew this was wrong and he did it anyways. Plus, that daughter, her sister was the one that was molested. She's a victim too, whether or not just not doing anything. She is in that house, she's a victim too. And people should know. There should be moms at these barrel races.
ugh.
How's it going? Are you okay? Talking to her. People should know. And so I had, a few girls that I'd known get pretty upset with me. And I had said, if he robbed a bank, killed somebody while drunk driving, shot somebody, embezzled, did whatever, his picture would be posted and you'd have no problem with it. I don't know the best way to go about this, right? I'm not a professional. I've never claimed to be. I call myself a professional. I tell you what's the exact best way, right? All I can do is do the best I can with what I have, and that's this little social media platform that I have and my experiences I went through and what I know, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm doing the best I can with what I have, but I would love, if you think I'm doing it wrong, come join the table. Let's figure out the best way to do it. I'm not saying I know the best or what we need to do. I'm saying this conversation needs to happen. With or without you, it's going to happen, and I'd rather you get on board and help these women and children.
Yeah, I think I find so many times when I'm a loud person too. Like I am the one who says what it is and everyone's like, shut up, you're ruining it. I'm like, I don't care. Like it doesn't matter. And I've learned that I was taught and shamed for not doing that for a long time. So I've also had this like, you know, and it's like all you're doing is sharing information that people need to have. And like you said, if someone's living in a home with someone, they're the most vulnerable in the most vulnerable position that they could possibly be. Have they never heard stories or experience, maybe never experienced? I mean, this is crazy that people would be upset with you over that. It's it's like, do they not know how to handle their own emotion about it? Like what in the world? Like what? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
there's been some crazy stuff, but it's wild to me the lengths people will go to protect and lift up and support these predators is insane. Because if they put an ounce of that towards a child, they could change that child's whole life. Instead, all they're doing is fostering more abusers. That's what happens. Hurt people hurt people. These little kids that don't know the right way to do something. That's the last guy that abused me. I believe from what I was told, he had a terrible childhood. I believe that. He learned a lot of very, very bad behaviors, right? That being said, you become an adult, you know right from wrong, you know the decision you have, or you know that you have the decision to do better than your past, to do better than was done before you. But I say all of this to say, actually, I wanted what you had said about, being the outspoken one and not being that. Yeah, I used to be a total people pleaser, didn't want to rock the boat, no confrontation, like, let's all get along, please,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be friends. Um, and it kind of made me the perfect victim. I won't lie, because I am. Somebody called me a border collie once. He said, you're really sweet and you try hard and you want to do good so bad, but if I yell at you, you're gonna be sad and I'm gonna feel really bad. Like you just want to do good so bad. It was a trainer I was working for, and I said, yeah, absolutely. So what had happened in those abusive relationships? They knock you down. I always say, I don't remember what every bruise felt like. I don't remember exactly what it felt like to hit the wall, hit the floor, but I know what they said to me. I know some of the stuff that they said, that they knew these deep little secrets or insecurities and used those to hurt me. I remember those, right?
Yep. Yep.
So
Oh, you're good.
it made me the perfect victim where they would, beat me down and I would want to do 10 times just to, prove, no, I am good. I am, worthy of this. I am hard work and I can do this. And it
Yep.
wasn't,
That is exactly what happens. It's
yep,
exactly right.
yep. And I
It's
wasn't
like, but
taught
yeah.
that, no. You're the prize. Stand up. Everything will come. But growing up too in that cult, it's like most conservative religions, sex is taboo. We don't talk about it. We don't speak about it. You just don't have it till marriage. Duh.
And then you still don't talk about it, which is weird.
I,
But anyway.
yeah. But it's been now being out, it's definitely it's a lot easier to see that, like we were talking about earlier, you can't fill someone's cup when you're full of holes and cracks, and you can also never keep someone's cup full that's full of holes and cracks. And that's all I
Yeah.
was doing, was pouring in so much love and everything I had, financially, physically, virtually everything I had into these relationships of let's make it work. I can do this. And that's what abusers want. And I not know.
That's what they look for.
Yeah, fed into that for a long time and I knew the whole time, like, this is wrong, but for a while you still believe that, well, maybe I can make him stop because he was good in the beginning.
Yep.
He was a
Yep.
great friend to me for so long. He was, so sweet and nice. So you think that maybe, like, it'll go back to normal. Like, we can get out of this funk, whatever. But it's not a funk. That's how he is.
Right.
How he operates,
Right.
right? Yeah, just getting out and learning that it doesn't have to do with you.
Yeah. And I think of the person listening who's like putting pieces together, because so many times when you're in that, you just like, you cannot comprehend what is going on because your reality is being distorted because you've been targeted. And it's, if someone's listening and this is making sense to you, or, you just can't get away, like, bite the bullet and figure it out and go tell someone. And if they do not listen to you, you need to go tell someone else. And you need to
Yes, do
keep like you have to, that inner part of you that you're like, no, no, that you're spending so much energy coddling and protecting that wants to scream. Go outside and scream and let it out and then use the energy to go.
Yeah.
And
Life gets so much
there's a
better.
million things that you need on the other end of that, but it's like I just want to encourage anybody if they're listening, like get the hell out of there.
Absolutely.
That person is fucked up. I'm actually going to post, I have content today I'm going to post that's like that person that you think is a jackass is a jackass. Like they got to go, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's getting posted today, literally.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wanted to make a moment and say that. Like, if it's clicking to you or if you've been in this before, like, listen to it. That's it. There's nothing wrong with you. You have to go protect yourself and you're allowed to do that.
So it's kind of a weird deal how this all circulates back. And I was talking about how we used to come down here for the buck and stock sale. We do that every year, right? In 2016, I kind of met this guy there. Started following each other, didn't really know him, but like we had met or whatever. Fast forward 2020, my brother and his girlfriend and his wife now came down from Minnesota during COVID. There was nothing going on up here. This redneck state was still party rocking. So they said, we'll go to Oklahoma and hang out. They found out what was happening, how he really acted, how he was, and they were like, not happening. They took me and hid me out at Austin, my now boyfriend's parents' house. It was that guy I met in 2016. So I didn't know Austin at the time. Like, I mean, I kind of knew them, right? And his family had met my family so this was March, in December at the NFR that I was supposed to go to with my family, but last minute decided I didn't want to because this guy sucked. So and hid me out there. And I remember I talked with his mom for hours, 3, 4, maybe 5 hours. And she had been through something similar, and she just poured into me. And one of the things that's always stuck with me is, and I listened to, or I heard it the entire time I was in the following abusive relationship, was if there's a little voice in the back of your head that says, this isn't right, this isn't the love I get, this isn't what I deserve, you need to listen to her because that is you. That's that little voice that he shoved down and made so small. You went from a burning, blazing house fire to a small candle so he could control your flame. You gotta listen to that. Life gets so much better when you get out. But anyways, it's kind of a weird.
It's true. It's true.
That was 2020. Rolls around, spent most of my 2020 healing.
Yeah.
2021, mid 2021. I start dating this guy, the really not good one. And when I finally left, it would have been the end of 2021, and a month or so after, bumped into Austin, started hanging out with him, and of course, like, I got out, and I was like, I can't look at a man, all these men suck. But I remember being 19 in the back of the car while Austin and his buddies that night drove me back to my house so I could get a change of clothes and my dog, and then drove me home and hid me out at their house so that nothing would happen. I just remember thinking to myself, like, whoever marries that guy is going to be lucky. It's a hard year for them. One good man's been raised, and my lucky's probably going to get engaged tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
But then, 2 years later, started hanging out, never stopped, and he is the most amazing human. So I say all of that to say,
that's awesome.
Again, to go off of, if you're listening right now and things are clicking, please know life gets so much better when you get out.
Yes.
It does. God wants to bring you these blessings, but he can't when you're sitting with the devil.
Yeah.
Let that guy go.
Yeah.
Come to Jesus. He loves
and if your blessing is that innate, like, you gotta go, that thing in you that says you gotta go, like that is the blessing you're receiving there to go on. Absolutely. And it drives your entire system to be able to go. And if you ignore it, you're literally not going to be wired to do what you need to do. So, thank you for also saying that, because there is so much good. And that's why when I chose my brand and everything, I'm like, what's the positive message? But how do we talk about, things can and will go right? And I'll ask you that question too at the end, and you'll talk about what that means for you. But it's like, the whole time I went through the things that I did, and I had bosses that were crazy, and that's a whole different thing. But it's like I always gave myself the possibility that things would turn around and they would be good. And when you play that game, you just got to be real with yourself so you can get out and move forward and find that, because that is somewhere, And yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, because that is also a massive part of the message too.
You can't be more in love with the reality that's in your head or in your past than the one you're currently living. And
Yeah,
a lot of
for sure.
times, what you imagine this would be off of their words and what it used to be, those are in the past. They're never coming. What's happening and what I'm still speaking towards, or to anybody listening right now that feels stuck. Know that it's going to get better when you get out. It's not going to get better when you do X, Y, and Z for that man. It's not going to
Hmm.
get better when he does X, Y, and Z. He needs
No.
to go off on his own and figure out his shit. He doesn't need to bring you down.
Yep. And this goes for the wives or spouses. It isn't always just the wife, it can be the husband, because I have someone close to me who it was a woman
Mm-hmm.
in the horse industry. She is horrible. And I'm like, gonna, not share that. But part of my conversation with you is to, put a little, this is my little thing that I can do for that. And even though it was horrible, but for the people who your spouse is doing something to your children, and they're sitting there going, hey, we're being abused, this isn't okay, and you have to acknowledge them. Your loyalty is now removed from that partner. I don't care if you do God, husband, family, or whatever your tier is. If there is abuse going on, you have to honor your children in it as well. And I want to just slam that home too.
Absolutely.
Like,
If you don't want to, tell me. I'm on my way. I'll pick them up. I'll
literally,
figure it out.
literally, like, give your kids to someone else then who is going to protect them.
It makes me sick. It absolutely does. There's the other thing for me. It's like, it's so easy not to abuse people. It really is. I've never looked at a child and thought to do anything but love, guide, and nurture them.
Exactly.
People that
Yeah.
think otherwise, that's them. You're not going to fix it. You're not going to change it. You're not going to suddenly become enough. You're not going to talk them out of it. It's them.
Yep.
Go find
Yep.
the man that God actually wants you to be with, that represents His love for you. Life gets so much better when you get out, and I'm really excited. I feel like there's a lot of women right now that are getting out, but I know that there's a lot of women that are still in these terrible abusive relationships. And I know it feels like you're stuck, but you can swim to shore. We're
Absolutely
waiting for you.
Yep. Stand up.
We treading water.
Mm-hmm.
Leave the guy at the dock. Come to shore.
Yeah. One of the things that when I've been talking to people that I found as like a little mentality shift that it helped me, and as I talk to people about letting people go who are taking up too much room at the very least, let alone being abusive, is remember that when you let them go, if you need to do legal action, I don't want to dismiss this. If you need to do legal action, if you need to tell people about it to protect other people, like we're empowering you with this conversation to do that. But you're giving them an opportunity to go and not be nurtured in a way that they should not be behaving either. So remember that if you see the behavior and you're a conscious, it's hard when you're being manipulated. Like, I don't want to make excuses, but it's really difficult, but if you have come to an understanding and you're ready to take a step, like, give them the opportunity to go out in the world and figure themselves out. Again, if it needs to be a legal thing, I want to stress, like, you need to, press charges or whatever, make sure people know about it. Or if they're in a position where it could be problematic with work or something, like, don't be afraid to say something. But like, you're allowing them to also go into the world and figure themselves out and learn and grow and all the things, especially if it's not a seriously, like, obviously, like,
Yeah.
There's levels to it, right? If you're just with someone who just, like, doesn't get it and doesn't know respect and all of this stuff, like, you're able to send them on their way and have them be trained to learn it some way else, even, and go find someone who's already there,
You're a rehabilitation center for poorly behaved men.
Exactly.
No,
100%.
How to act right, he can too.
Yeah.
That's a big thing too, though, that a lot of people, and I have the same problem. It's hard to get yourself to really admit and accept the fact that this isn't a lot of times something that they care to change, so they're not going
Yep.
to change. They don't see a
Yep.
problem with their actions. That's why they continuously do what they know is wrong. At some point, you just have to decide if that's the life you want for yourself, or if you want better. And if you do want better, there are so many resources and so many people waiting and ready to help you. I know how it feels to feel stuck and feel like you can't go anywhere. It's going to be completely geared towards, and everything that it does is going to be for victims and survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse, child sexual assault in the Western industry, in the horse industry. A lot of different resources for, as far as like legal stuff, places for them to go, people that are hired, a lot of different like therapists, that kind of network. But one of my favorite things that our lawyers are building right now, um, I can't say a ton right now, but we will have there will be a way, a database where you can look up a person in the horse world's public record and have right there what they've done, so that there's. I want the days of pedophiles and abusers being able to walk among us just fine, unsuspecting. I want that to be gone. If it
Yeah.
has to be here, okay. I at least want to know. There, every horse event I'm at, there are little kids running around. Little kids. I was just at one not that long ago in Ada, and there was an ex-cop horse trainer that comes, and he was charged for having child porn. And there's little kids running around, and I feel crazy being the only one that's like, this is wrong, this is wrong. And I look around and see parents quiet, walking away. It's hard for me, but as long
Yeah.
as I live, I will make sure that victims and survivors are heard, and abusers and pedophiles are known.
Right. And if anybody out there is like, we want to just be able to go, this is exactly what needs to be put in place for you to be able to just go enjoy. Like, this is the whole, like, everybody wants that peace and tranquility, but there's a lot of work that has to be put in. And so you need a ton of support, people to be on board, people to be sharing that. And I'll be happy to share any of that when the time comes. Um,
It's exciting. We're
yeah,
not that
that's
far
amazing.
from opening it up, and there's so much good I know that it can do, but I just know the very tip of it. Right, I'm really excited
Yeah,
for when it goes public, because I love other people coming in and saying, hey, what if you did this? Hey, I know this person that does this. Hey, what if we change this a little bit? I think that's what's going to make things grow and change. And I so my dad is he's an event producer in Minnesota. I'm very proud of him. He's put so much work into his events. He produces two, one a little smaller local rodeo, a PRCA, and then a pretty big PRCA at the Canterbury
cool.
Racetrack in Minnesota, and a ski joring there, and then a bunch of other like little events. But anyways, I love my dad. He is so 10 toes behind any victim or survivor. If you need a dad, he's your dad now. I promise. He loves people. But he's been very big and behind with his event company, backing the whole, you're a pedophile, we don't want your entry money. We don't need it that bad. Don't buy a ticket. Don't be there. We don't. And I want to see that happening in more events. There is no reason why youth rodeo associations, should have pedophiles at them. So I expected more pushback down here, being in the Bible Belt. A lot of
Sure.
people down here have been raised where grandpa wasn't nice to grandma, dad wasn't nice to mom. This is where it goes, right? Everybody down here that I know and talk to is violently against pedophiles.
Oh, good.
I know more people up there. Like, I can count probably 20 to 30 that have publicly stated their support for pedophiles, not once, but twice, maybe more than that. And that's mind blowing to me. And not that I'd really thought, like, which one's going to be better, but I just kind of assumed that down here wouldn't be as good, up there.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I lost, there was a lot of people that I had been, friends with or had known for years since I was a little girl. And they said, I don't want nothing to do with that, Rachel. And I said, that's fine.
What?
But I I don't care. This isn't right. There's
I
no.
can't believe that. That's crazy.
I was so upset about the guy that had abused his daughter. And the people that were mad about people finding out, because those comments were just full. Like, all you had to do was scroll up. Right above your comment saying, "This shouldn't be on Facebook, this is embarrassing, take it down," is a girl saying, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know he was a convicted pedophile. He's always said creepy remarks to me. I had no idea." Like, what? I don't understand being able to live in a world that's so self-centered. It's so, like, removed from the empathy of everybody struggling and suffering
Yeah.
around. For no reason. There's no reason to molest children.
No, it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It's so disgusting. Ugh.
Yeah, there's. Sorry, I know it's kind of
Go off.
dampers the mood, but this is the first time I've been able to actually speak about it. I type a lot of things about it, but it is
Yeah.
nice to,
Yeah.
to verbally say some stuff. There's a case that was just posted by a lady in Texas who was inadvertently involved in it when a 14-year-old ran down her driveway in her arms, crying and bawling because the guy that had raised her like a daughter since she was 8 was sexually abusing and raping her. Yep. So they turn him in, go to press charges. He's I bef- I need to double check where the case is at before I say, but I know he was charged. I'm not sure if he's convicted yet. I'd have to look back to remember for sure. But the wife, the mother of the 14-year-old child, took him back and is standing by him. Has denied the little girl counseling. Didn't want to tell anybody. Sent a note to the lady that had, the girl came to, and said, "Thanks for keeping this secret between us." And the lady was like, "This is not a secret. This is horrible. You should not be around a
Yikes.
man that." Yeah, it's sick.
Oh,
And then, like, you look on their Facebook, and his profile picture is him kissing his little daughter on the lips. Her profile picture is them four together, and these guys go to Ropix. He was just 30 minutes down the road a couple months ago. Like, they're all around us. Nobody says anything. Nobody really wants to care, and that's wild. I say nobody. A large amount of people do, but
yeah, but it's enough people to where it continues.
right? Yeah, it's bizarre to me.
All right, let's empower the people now if you're listening, because I have a feeling we're probably going to get quite a few views because you have a lot of people. So we might as well speak to it. If you are someone who has covered up abuse, today is the day that you make a change. That's it. Like, there's, the shame you need to work out. I'm not going to say there's no shame because you have a responsibility and you need to do that. And it is your time to step up. And if you have a child that you just dismissed, it, you're the adult, if you didn't give information or you denied information or experience for someone, like, it is now your time to go back and say, I should have done better. Like, this is a calling to you to do that. So if you're listening and you're like, oh my gosh, I realized I didn't validate someone or get someone help, like, it is never too late and it is now. So I just need to say that because the odds are good that someone on here is going to be listening and they decided to skirt reality a little bit. And
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
can't handle that.
No, me either. It's pretty terrible. I will say I'm losing faith for those people. Um, so to add on to what Jen said, I'm gonna say, and if you can't do any of those things, send your kids to me.
Yeah,
Send
exactly.
whoever you invalidated, whoever you helped push down, whoever you helped enable their abuser. Let me know. They're at
Exactly.
my table now, and they will never feel like that again.
Exactly.
There's 8 billion people in this world. We're not gonna waste our life with the wrong ones.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and if you're unwilling, then you need to have someone else take care of it. Absolutely. Yeah, your choices don't need to impact everybody else. Yeah, I completely agree. So, so you're doing big, important things. You've taken what your experience has given you in life and you've raised your voice with it. You've taken that voice where you've learned to cultivate it and you've been in the position, and I have too, where we weren't able to speak up in the way that we have the energy to now, but we learned it and we respected it. And we've learned that, oh my gosh, it's safe over here. And you have thousands of people who are in your support. So tell everybody, like, you just talked about your nonprofit. Like, what is your day-to-day operations right now? if people are like, yeah, I want to support you, I want to get on board with everything you're doing, making sure your business is thriving, to put, everything into this, whatever it is, they want to partner with you. What does that look like? Talk about your store, talk about all of it.
So I've got a store in Stillwater on South Main Street. I've also got an app in wherever you download your apps, Android or Apple, and a website, daisyfuduco.com. Our nonprofit, I'll have it blasted all over Facebook when it's up. But right now, the days, honestly, they haven't changed a ton, except I have to accept now that at some point in my day, I'm going to get a new case sent to me that's going to sock me in the gut, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's something now that I have the emotional bandwidth to deal with. It's still heavy, but you know what I mean? I can deal
totally
with it now. I couldn't have before. But just allowing myself that grace of feeling those, because it is personal to me. I feel for all those. So that's been an adjustment for me. I don't like being on my phone when I'm working. If I am on my phone while I'm working, it's because I'm working on my phone. I'm on my Shopify app, or I'm on Facebook selling stuff. But now I kind of have to keep my phone by me all the time, because I have people, that are sending me different stuff, or I'll have, a victim or survivor that wants to reach out and talk. So that's been something for me to get used to, is taking a step away from work where I can be present for these people. For the nonprofit, I'm so excited. We're going to do so many big things. We've got to, set up. We'll absolutely be at my dad's events. We'll do some big stuff there, but we'd like to set up at other events. We want to work with associations to protect children. I think right now, some people are feeling like this threat, like, oh, they're trying to, bring drama and tear us down. No, we're trying to clean house. And skeletons, they got to go out of the closet. There's no reason to have them here. These skeletons keep touching kids, so let's get them out of here.
Yeah.
And that's where we work with associations. There's more than a few arenas up north that still want to have pedophiles at their events. And if you do, that's fine. If you value a $60 entry fee over a child's life, that's okay. But I don't want that to be in silence or in the darkness anymore. If you're going to make that choice, you can make it publicly, because nobody should be supporting abusers, and child abusers specifically, period, but let alone in the darkness and helping fuel that cycle.
Yeah, for sure.
Total tangent and didn't answer your question.
No, you're okay. No, you did. You did.
Yeah, my day-to-day is mainly sewing at Daisy, doing that kind of stuff. I'm very excited for the stuff that the nonprofit will bring. When we have a spot where people put their information in, because we want to build a network of people, right? Kind of, like how Baca, they have angels that go with children to their court cases.
Yeah.
We'll have cowboys, and
cool.
We'll make sure that courthouse is filled with cowboy hats that are on good men, and not just the ones sitting there trying to defend himself. I firmly believe I was raised by an amazing man, a very, very godly man, and I firmly believe that real cowboys follow Jesus, and Jesus would have protected children. So we want to bring that to people's doorsteps, to make people stop ignoring it. You can't silence us anymore. Victims deserve voice.
Yeah, and it's practical, and it's things have to be rewritten. We can't just leave them and then be isolated. Like, that's rewriting the story, and I think that is hats off to you, cowboy hats off to you.
Saying this is how it's always been, or don't want to rock the boat, is so dumb. Change happens when you rock the boat, okay? You can get back to some smooth seas, but get these rats out
Exactly.
here.
Exactly. The rats can go.
Right?
Drain the swamp, as they say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll make sure, what I'm doing with all my episodes is I'll put them on my website. My website's www.whatifitallgoesright.org. When you get that up and running, we can do another little conversation if you want. And I'm deeply connected, I'll just make sure you're continuing to be promoted. For people who are listening, this episode will be on my website. It's going to be on YouTube and Spotify for sure. And I'll make sure that links to everything that she wants to provide so you can go and not only support her business, but support the nonprofit that's going. Um, and your Facebook group, let's talk about that too, real quick, because we haven't mentioned that yet. Yeah, you got a lot. You just got a lot going on. So,
So this April, this past April, when I found out just how, and it originally started up north where I was from, but I found out how many sexual predators were around children at horse events. I had a lot of people reach out. They were like, "You should do this. You should do that. You should do this. And I should do all these things, but I still got to take care of me. And if I've
yeah,
always been very worried that if I overextend myself and I fall short, I'm going to bring that victim down with me. You know, I'm going to reach out on the dock and she's going to pull me in with her. I don't want that. I want to be on the shore.
yep,
Uh,
yep,
so I had a lot of people reach out that were like, you know, just so many different stuff to do. One lady, Robin Path, she said, you should start a nonprofit. And I was like, that's dreaming big. I don't have any time. Let me, you know, think about it. Like, I'm not sure. You're right. Something needs to be done, but I don't know what to do that I have time for and can really commit to. And she said, well, I just had no idea. There's so many predators in the horse world until you started posting it. And it made like kind of a light bulb click in my head where I was like, nobody knows. We need a place where people can easily go. Nobody wants to go to a website and go find whatever. They're on Facebook. They find it on Facebook. It's easy to share with friends. It's easy to see someone's face and recognize them. And that's what we had started the whole group for was, and any post on there, we do have, like, we'll have news articles shared, that kind of thing. But any post that we put there, we always have it with their mugshot, linked to their court records, where their case stands, what areas they frequent. So you can search, you know, your state in this group or your area and, you know, find some people. But that's why, that's where the idea for the database kind of came from for the nonprofit, is just being able to have a more solid place of, like, Facebook's great for mass communication, right? But this is a serious, needs to be in a format where you can just look through it, not see, you know, news articles,
yep,
this person is from whatever.
yep, yep.
So that's something big that I'm pretty excited about. And I love that in America you can't get in trouble for saying the truth out loud.
Yeah, it's true. It is a massive benefit that we have here, especially there's a lot of different scenarios, but this is a prime example of why, yeah, we don't need to cover things up here. Absolutely not.
No.
And we don't have to, which is really nice.
Yeah.
What's the name of that group?
It's Cowboys and Gals Against Predators.
Yeah. And again, I'll link that. It's not hard to find. There's, yeah, there's a lot. You have a lot. You're very available. Your stuff is very easy to find, which is good. That's how it should be when you're on a mission. So I always end with 3 questions. Number 1 is, what advice would you have given yourself? Which we've already, you know, kind of went through this stuff. But if you were going to blanket statement, what advice you'd give yourself, knowing where you're at right now at 24, and it'd be cool, you know, to hear in the future as well. What would you tell yourself after all that you've experienced and you're doing and all that?
So I think, so when you'd sent me that outline, and I'd read it, it got. You're asking me about, like, kind of before I started this whole journey, right? Like,
whatever you want. Yeah, sure.
because what I think of when I think of there's been many versions of me, right? Many versions of Rachel throughout my life. And when I think about the Rachel that needed advice, I think about the little girl that started feeling really, really, really sad in 4th grade and didn't get out of that funk for a long time. And I think about the teenager that was so hurt and so voiceless, so I struggled so bad with just feeling unworthy, guilt, shame. A lot of that was because that's what the cult did to women, you know, women had
Yep.
to stay under the men. So
Yep.
I think about those 2 versions a lot, and I don't even know that I have advice for them, because I'm not, everything I went through, every choice I've made has led me to where I am today, and I love where I am today. I love the person I am. I love that through pain, God brought me purpose. But when I think about those 2 girls, all I want to do is wrap them in a hug and tell them,
Exactly.
that's what those little girls needed.
Yeah, hold space. And that's exactly I feel like if any advice anybody gives, that's the breakdown of it. You know, it's like just presence and acceptance and love and a space to just be. Yeah, I love that.
There's something so healing. I've been able to heal my inner child so much through these last
Good.
3-4 years, and it's been such a blessing. But there's so much healing in good people being around you, speaking life into you. You know, telling that little girl that you are loved, valued, preciously made, all of the things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very special.
Yeah. In light of that, what advice would you give to others who are listening? Just one thing, you know.
To go back to the whole, hey, if they don't value you and love you at your table, come join mine. Come join
Yeah.
somebody else's. I promise you there are good people out here. It feels, maybe in that town, it feels so small, or in that state. It's a whole big country out here.
Yeah, exactly.
Good
Yeah.
people. You don't have to waste your life with people that are bad for you, because when you surround yourself with the people God wants you to be with, oh my gosh, he can take that and multiply it and bring blessings, and you're able to do stuff because you have life spoken into you. And my biggest, I guess that's it. My biggest advice is I want any woman feeling like that, any girl feeling like that, especially that's in, you know, an abusive relationship or place, in whatever capacity, I just want you to know that life gets so much better when you get out, and you can get out. You have a place. You're going to have to start over, but it's not going to be any harder than the hell you've already been through. So it's time to step out of that door and head to another one.
Absolutely. And if you have to start over again, I just saw somebody comment on my TikTok today. This is my third time. And I was like, I've done it too, multiple times. You gotta go. You gotta keep learning as you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's something that, you know, sometimes we forget as people. We want to think that, okay, we've been through this, so we have it all figured out. Nothing. We're going to have to start over once in our life. We're going to get knocked down. We're going to have to figure it out. And it's, like I said, it's hard, but it's not the hardest thing you've been through.
Yeah. And you get to, which is awesome. All right. Final question, and no pressure on having your whole life figured out. But what if it all goes right for you? What's the trajectory here?
I thought about that question for so long since you first asked me, which was like this spring, right? And I still don't have a perfect answer, right? Because what I'm trying to do right now is create so much discussion, and I think of it as, I got a big whiteboard. Come on, everybody, let's write down what you think we can do, should do. How can we help? There's obviously.
Exactly.
So if it all goes right, this nonprofit is going to be bigger than I could have ever imagined, because it is bigger than I've ever,
yeah.
I know it seems like I'm this big front, but it's just because my pictures with these posts, right? This is not just me. There's so many women with me right now making this up. I have amazing board members on the nonprofit.
Okay.
So if it all goes right, this is going to grow bigger than any of us, and it's going to help so many women and children that are victims of abuse in the horse industry.
I love that. I think I asked that question, and I love it because it's like, it doesn't matter what level of understanding you have, or if you know, some people have their whole life mapped out, which good luck, you know. But it's, I step in, I grow, more people are impacted, this is effective, and you're going to continue to gain support for that. So I think that's awesome. I think you're definitely onto something.
Well, sometimes I stress people out as a business owner and now a nonprofit person. I'm very much type B like my dad. I don't plan. I was raised, my parents are very solution based, right? Kids come crying, okay, what's wrong? How are we going to fix it? What can you do? We're moving on from there, right? So when I meet problems, I'm the type that I just want to throw out solutions. Let's figure it out, get something done. So that is, it's been very nice to balance that with the other people that want to get involved of the type A. You need both, you know, that
you do. Yep.
Bring me in and tell us, okay, here's the logistics of what we're figuring out. But it's pretty incredible. If it all goes right, it's going to bring a lot of people together, and it's going to bring a lot of good to this community.
Good. I love it. Well, thanks so much for chatting. Again, I'll have all the links involved. It'll be on my website. We'll make sure you're connected to everybody that wants access to you, and I'll just continue to post your stuff. One of my main missions is making sure that people are heard, that people have access to the things that other people are doing, that, you know, I have friends like my cousin's daughter just got into the horse industry, right? Like there's up and coming people that I'm connected to. So we'll make sure. I'm going to give another quick shout out. This is in the intro, but I'm wearing one of her sweatshirts and I love it. And I saw it in my best friend, Maggie Bazanson. She's an animal and human chiro. She sent me this for my birthday. We have matching ones, but she's on board as well. And she's doing a lot of really cool stuff. And I would love for you two to connect more too, because she's a powerhouse of a human being who's survived and built and done an amazing job. She's one of my like reps for my brand because she's amazing. So I wanted to give her a little bit of shout out too, because she's how I got connected to you. So yeah, everybody spread the word. Everybody continue to have these conversations and not just be frustrated, but figure out how you can partner and find solutions. And if you're outside of the horse industry and you're hearing this, like this can be replicated for the sports world and any other youth organization, the art world, all of that. So I think it'll be cool to see how you play into the bigger picture of everything. And I hope in the future I help facilitate some of those conversations because that's where I want to be positioned. So thank you so much. We will be in touch. And I just really appreciate your vulnerability and your sharing and the light that you're shining. And I will do everything I can to support you. And I hope everybody does too.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the ability to, or the opportunity to ramble off some thoughts and things that I'm doing. It's really special that you would use your platform for what you do.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you're just as encouraged as I was during this conversation. Just a reminder that you can visit www.whatifitallgoesright.org/store to support me in buying one of my stickers for my business and adding a personal letter for yourself or someone else that you love. I'll write across thank you, congrats, keep going, you got this, whatever message that you want in there. All you have to do is drop a little bit of information for just $8 as an upgrade. That helps me continue to produce conversations like this, find amazing people in the world, and support people like Rachel. You can find Rachel at Daisy If You Do Co. in Stillwater, Oklahoma. You can find her by a quick Google search, and she's very easy to find on social media. There are going to be links connected to the YouTube, Spotify, social media uploads with this. Thank you so much for listening and stay tuned for more. We got a lot of good things coming. And I'm just going to ask you, what if it all goes right?